Well, comes the weekend, comes Michael Snyder. I don't mean that in any sexual sense, I just mean it in the normal sense. He's our resident culture reviewer, and he's here with this week's movies. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Alex, and we've got a plethora of films opening this weekend, and just a quick, an early note in the segment, Everybody Wants Some, the new Richard Linklater film about college life in 1980, is opening wider this weekend, and I recommend that people see this film, which I loved beyond all imagining, and we talked about last time. As for new and previously unreviewed movies, man, we should be so lucky to have a film like Everybody Wants Some. Let's get to it. All right, no question that Melissa McCarthy is innately funny. She makes me laugh sometimes. I thought she was great in the recent espionage spoof Spy, although I couldn't watch more than 5 minutes of her, what do you want to call it, Chubbs in Love sitcom, Mike and Molly. Her performance in the Kristen Wiig ensemble comedy Bridesmaids was hilarious. But in that case, as in Spy, she had like a really sharp script and a good director, really terrific ensemble. When she did the same obnoxious, damaged character in like lesser comedies, The Heat, Identity Theft, for instance, it was tiresome. And Tammy, which was directed by her husband, Ben Falcone, and co-written by the couple, was brutally unfunny. And so is The Boss, the latest mess co-created by the Falcones. So much for nepotism, although it could kind of explain why her character in The Boss is always wearing a turtleneck. Hickeys from the husband, perhaps. Anyhow, The Boss is a willfully vulgar, R-rated comedy wherein McCarthy is a rich, mean-spirited mogul who is sent to prison penniless after she's caught for insider trading, and then she tries to rebuild and rebrand herself as a good person when she's released. The cast is solid, including Kristen Bell as the title character's long-suffering assistant, a single mom whose brownie recipe could somehow enable the boss to quickly get rich again. Peter Dinklage, yes, that Peter Dinklage, as the boss's old lover and rival. Kathy Bates is her former mentor, and Kristen Schaal is a hapless leader of a Girl Scout-like troop of rivals to the brownie-selling troop overseen by the boss that will somehow make the boss rich again. It's pretty embarrassing for all concerned and kind of sad, since McCarthy's occasional asides and throwaway lines show those comedic skills, and her timing is always good. But, you know, if she's spouting bull, it's just not going to work. She needs a genuinely funny script and a deft director. Her Ghostbusters redo is coming up, and it reunites her with Paul Feig, who was her director for Spy, and Kristen Wiig as her co-star. It could be a bounce back, but I'm not holding my breath. Wow, The Boss, what a waste of my time. Hardcore Henry could have been a waste of my time, but I bought in. It's a fairly unique, cheerfully mindless, and explosive action film about a man brought back from the dead as a half-human, half-robotic hybrid, and this is seen from his first-person perspective as he goes on a rampage purportedly to save his spouse from a psychopath who plans to destroy the world. Actually, it's to truly put the viewer in Henry's violent, desperate position, since the whole film is shot in a first-person point of view with, I believe, a GoPro camera, or many, many GoPro cameras. And we never actually see Henry's face. We don't know who the actor is particularly. It could be a bunch of stuntmen, but I don't care. I've seen and loved this first-person technique in the British sitcom Peep Show, which allows you a great and hilarious perspective on human foibles, but this is like countless video games where the player sees the action as he or she uses the controller. It's from a fledgling Russian director, Ilya Naishuller. So in Hardcore Henry, you don't control the action controls you. Actually, the producer is another Russian, Timur Bekmambetov, one of my favorite directors of mindless action movies, such as Night Watch, Day Watch, Wanted, and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. This movie, Hardcore Henry, also has the advantage of the fine Charlton Copley of District 9 in what seems to be multiple roles that give the film another video game element, but that turns out to be an interesting plot development. The great Tim Roth has a cameo with some importance to the plot. Ultimately, though, it's loud, crazy sci-fi that should be seen in a theater if it's your kind of movie, and preferably at bargain matinee prices. Demolition was a disappointment, especially considering the talent involved. Jake Gyllenhaal and Naomi Watts head the cast. It's a mix of drama, romance, and comedy that concerns a successful investment banker struggling to rebuild his life after losing his wife in a tragic car crash. Davis Mitchell, the guy Jake plays, is pretty unhinged by the loss and soon begins to do destructive things to himself, to material objects, and to others, starting with his exasperated father-in-law and boss, played by Chris Cooper. Watts is the customer service rep at the receiving end of a string of angry letters that Davis sends to a vending machine company when he doesn't get the snack he wanted out of a bulky machine at the hospital right after the accident. Of course, he tracks her down and fixates on her and her kid as some kind of salvation for him. And I suppose you're expecting romance. I don't know what you're expecting because the film's various elements just don't gel. There's also the problem that it's hard to care for the screwed up, pissed off Davis character, no matter how hard Gyllenhaal tries. And he seems kind of laconic through the whole thing as well. Sometimes the guy is like boiling, and other times looks like he's on some sort of, soma. In any case, the director is Jean-Marc Vallée, and he's made some very, very good films, including Dallas Buyers Club and Wild. Demolition is a rare misfire for him and for Gyllenhaal as well. Mr. Right was just fun. It's a mix of action, comedy, and romance, where Anna Kendrick plays a girl who falls for a nice guy, played by Sam Rockwell, but this guy happens to be a hitman on the run. He's trying to get away from the crime cartels and the people who hire and employ him to kill people. So he goes in to kill someone, and maybe he decides not to. Maybe he never gets to that person. And instead, as soon as he's hired, he goes after those who wanted him to do the killing. This is sort of Manic Pixie meets Wacky Hitman, and Love Comes a-Callin' with guns blazing. Max Landis, who wrote Chronicle, American Ultra, and talk about misfires, Victor Frankenstein, wrote Mr. Right, so it has some verve and fun to it. It also has Kendrick and Rockwell, who bring their enthusiasm and their A-games, and I like watching both actors. And it's set in my beloved New Orleans, so that was nice. But you know what? Mr. Right is a trifle. Finally, I want to talk about Louder Than Bombs, which is a family drama with real potency and with great performances. It's directed by Joachim Trier, and it's about an acclaimed photojournalist played by Isabelle Huppert, who dies, and her widower and two sons have to grapple with what they lost and with what they didn't know or care to know about the woman. The father is played by Gabriel Byrne, and he's fantastic with great depth, and he's tormented by what's happened and what he finds out about what his wife was up to during her career and her personal life away from him. And Jesse Eisenberg is the older of two sons. And after seeing him kind of screw the pooch as Luthor in Batman versus Superman, and see all these kind of nervous, tick crazy characters he's played, it's great to see him be so centered and give such a rich performance as the adult son in Louder Than Bombs. The younger son, Devin Druitt, is the actor who plays that kid, and he's quite good too. And if you don't buy into these guys, maybe you don't get the rich, deep, and painful story and emotions that are being conveyed here. But I thought everyone, again, did a great job. Louder Than Bombs is hard to watch. It's a little heartbreaking. And it's all about love and loss, and does a much better job in dealing with love and loss than Demolition. Let's put it that way. Those are the movies for this week that I've seen and can review. We'll get to another one that is supposed to be quite good next time. It's called The Invitation, and it hasn't opened wide yet. Anything on television, Mr. Bennett?
Not that I know of.
Nothing that's floated your boat lately?
This weekend they're doing a documentary on HBO about Gloria Vanderbilt by her son, Anderson Cooper, and it looks to be fascinating.
I have heard that there are no holds barred, as they say. They talk about anything and everything, and I have not seen it as yet, but I've also heard really good things about it.
Well, we'll talk about it next time. Anyway, is that about it, Michael?
That wraps it, Mr. Bennett.
Yes, tell them where they can find you.
On Twitter, I'm at Culture Blaster, and on the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page at Facebook. Tune in there and like the page and listen to us and what have you.
And I think understand Batman versus Superman still hasn't gotten any better.
No, no.
Anyway, thanks for being with us, Michael, and there's more GABNet coming right up.